welcome. Dustin and Amy Barney here. We did our son's annual IEP today, and
through Google Meets.
Oh, that was kind of cool, actually. I really like that. You know, the bonus about this distance IEP, we could mute and have a conversation without them listening to us. I mean, it was awkward last year to have so many people. What was it like? It felt like it was like 13 people at a table or something like that, and we're having a conversation and they're all staring at you, and so it feels weird and uncomfortable. But to be able to mute it and then have a conversation together and then get back on was kind of cool. Hey, Diane, welcome. So I thought we'd share some wins. You know, all of our IEP experiences have been pretty good. I think, you know, we have pretty good teams that we work with, and I mean, it helps that Dustin keeps everybody on their toes because they know he's an expert, since this is what he does for his job. Is he does IEPs all the time, like all the time. How many have you done this year?
I don't know.
It was like an insane amount. What, 300? It feels like it.
I think 25.
25 IEPs, okay, this year. So he does them all the time. All right, so I just wanted to share a few things. They went over Clark's goals, and I know a lot of you follow sorry, I can't talk. I'm a little spacey today. Been getting over feeling yucky. But I like to share our journey with our son, because I know a lot of you really are rooting for him and have been following us as we've shared all about from the beginning when he was diagnosed with autism and everything that we've been through. So what was really cool is Clark is considered at grade level academically. And so that's really exciting. You know, he's very bright. So that is not his problem. So we don't, you know, his problem is more behavioral, attention, issues like that. And so
self-centeredness.
So yeah, very, very, so I got this hair in my eye. Very focused on, yeah, me, which, I mean, most children are, right? But he's very, very loud and vocal and persistent about it. So what was cool is they went through the goals. They don't have any academic goals, right? No, none. No academic goals at all, which is pretty amazing. And so mainly it's where his behavior has improved some, but there's still a lot of work to be done on that. And so there's goals that are with speech and helping him to, can you elaborate? I was a little spacey on the goals. I started to zone out when they started going into the goals. But like, what are some of the things we're working on this next year?
So the speech therapist is working with him, but they are focusing on, so distracting.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm just waiting.
So they're focusing on following multi-step directions, or staying on topic, or following somebody else's topic, you know. So Clark likes to talk about what he wants to talk about. So, you know,
as loud as he can.
If he's interested in the eggs he collected from the chicken coop today, that's what he wants to talk about. It doesn't matter that they're talking about a yak or a yam or the letter Y. He wants to talk about what he wants to talk about.
How do you cope with which part, Irene? We've been...
Amy stopping to wave at everybody? Wow, that's pretty tough.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure which part you're talking about. Clark was diagnosed, I guess it's been almost 4 years, because it was when he was 3 and he's almost 7. So that was hard for me, probably harder for me than it was for Dustin, because he was in special ed already. I cried for like a month. The first year was pretty crazy. He had a lot of problems and behavior issues. It was really intense. I feel like we were in survival mode for like a year, if not more, with all the therapy going on. But we've been improving, and you know, we still have our struggles, things that he may not go away for many years. He still hurts us a lot. Is always pinching, always kicking, hitting, throwing. When he doesn't get his way, he's very big now, and so he can be very aggressive, and that gets harder and harder to handle with us, because like he hurts our back, like when we're trying to remove him from a dangerous situation. But there's so many good things and so much positivity and so much growth. So we wanted to talk about some of that. Dustin was very good at removing, which, you know, I think was smart, because when Clark has things in his life, he just has to have them there. Even if they're useless, it's part of his routine, and they had all these supports in place that he didn't really need. And so, but if they decided, you know, he would insist on having them just because it's part of his routine. And so I like that you pointed out that he didn't need certain things anymore, or else, because he's going to just keep insisting on having them and depending on him even though he doesn't need them.
And not only that, they make him stand out more, and it makes it harder to integrate him into a general education's situation. So, like, he's going to have a privacy corral around him. I'm like, no, he's not.
That just doesn't.
That's not going to be okay.
Really going to.
He needs to learn how to cope with it. And it's like, he's going to have a visual schedule. I'm like, he can have a visual schedule as long as it's on the front board and everybody else is using it too. He doesn't need a personal one to carry around all day and become super attached to.
He's gotten a lot more flexible. As long as we don't change things right after he gets hooked on something, he's usually pretty fine with, hey, we're going to go do this. And
there was another one we got rid of. What was it?
The earphones.
Oh, yeah.
The headphones.
He'll have access to headphones and to cover his ears. And it's like, he just uses his hands or his fingers when it's too noisy or whatever. And, it's another thing that he doesn't need to stand out extra. He has his special needs. He has his quirks already.
We don't his stimming is pretty obvious and pretty intense.
We don't need to draw extra attention to it and make it harder for him to integrate into because he's got to carry all this stuff with him. And so we got rid of a lot of that stuff.
And eliminated OT. Yes.
Yeah, we got rid of OT. Sorry. So he's doing really good in his OT and his letter formation. And
not that he doesn't need OT help, but they're not able to help us with what we need help with, which is the sensory-seeking behavior that he, he abuses us with, which is with his pinching, his constant need for pinching.
Right, but his fine motor skills are really good.
Yeah, those are fine.
We're, they can't or won't help us with the other things, or
we've tried.
We didn't see a reason to hang on to something that was not beneficial.
We did all kinds of therapy outside of the school,
and we got rid of all that stuff too because
it was working until we lost our good team, and then it stopped working for us. But the OT that we tried as well, they also weren't able to really address and help with the main concern. We went through so many things to try and get rid of the constant pinching and the pain that he inflicts on people. He's like, he seems to he understands more. Like, he knows he's not supposed to do it, but he's compelled to do it, and he's constantly going for your underarm. But nobody's been able to help us with that, and I honestly feel like that's just something he's going to have to learn and grow into, and hopefully it'll phase out in the next few years.
and that's the thing, if something is not working for your child, get it out of there, remove it. It's not. If it's not helping, it's not helping. And, they'll be better served in a place where they're doing something else that is helping, like speech or, time in the gen ed room or whatever.
So those are some of the good things that we decided to sack, and I'm okay with getting rid of the OT. They just kept sending me messages like, when are you going to do OT? And I'm like, I'm too busy to do OT right now. I'm trying to do my job and do homeschooling. And go to the gen ed classroom as well. So anyways, so it was overall very good. And what else? So what I liked is they were, they listened to us. They proposed, last year we weren't too pleased in how slowly they wanted to integrate Clark into the classroom and how little they pushed in. We didn't get to really build up that much because of all what happened with COVID and everything like that. But we decided we needed to, I felt like they were kind of letting him into the easy parts and then sending him back to TAP so they could handle the behavior. But, that makes it hard for him to learn to adapt. And we know he can learn to adapt. We know he's very able to do that. So they proposed a smaller amount, and we pushed back and asked for more time in the gen ed class. And it went from, 30% to 42% will be next year. So we're really excited about that. He's going to get more of the most important instruction, ELA?
Yep.
So that and the PE.
And it's actually a bigger jump than it sounds like because it's a longer school day.
Yeah, he's there for another hour.
So he's kind of like doubling his time in for English language arts, plus they're adding in PE and music 4 days a week. And
right, so it's really cool.
It's a big jump.
So, we had to explain. I'm like, he needs, the first grade teacher just has to learn how to manage and deal with his problems so that he can adapt and not just say, uh-oh, the parent needs to take him out now because he's not behaving. That just teaches him, well, this sucks. Let me misbehave and I can go back to a smaller classroom and play,
Yeah, play with toys on the floor.
He's pretty smart. So, anyways, we're very, very pleased with that. I mean, it was a lot more time he's going to get whenever they figure out the new schedule. So,
I mean, we don't plan to stop there either. Plan to ask for more time as he's more successful, and I think it's going to work out. And hopefully, we'll be able to get him out of that regionalized program and into gen ed, and maybe a little bit of support
in the next few years. Yeah. So, anyways, just thought we'd share our experience, and it was a very good one. I know a lot of people, sometimes they have a hard time with their IEPs. Any advice for parents out there that maybe are feeling maybe, like, I'm very lucky to have Dustin with me. I don't have to worry about knowing laws or knowing what's appropriate or not. I mean, I know, I intuitively, I know some of it, but Dustin is able to narrow down a lot of things, and he understands from his perspective as a special ed teacher and having done tons of IEPs, so I can lean on him. But what about those parents out there who don't have that knowledge? I can understand going in and feeling maybe that you chew against them because you don't know what you're going into and you don't understand it, and it can be a little more intimidating.
Yeah. So for the most part, IEP teams are designed to be a support for that child, and the discussion is to how can we best help them. And so most teachers are not there to hurt your child, or not there to offer something that's not appropriate, or something that's wrong. They may not know what to do, they may not understand the laws or the supports and things that are in there. So the best thing to do is open a line of communication. Email them. Ask your questions ahead of time. Meetings don't need to be super long. They should be about half an hour to an hour at the most. Okay? And
I think ours gets lengthened because he is a special ed teacher. They got to dot their I's and cross their T's.
Yeah, they definitely go longer when it's my child because they want to make sure that everything's okay. Because I don't tolerate...
You correct them.
I don't tolerate errors that way with my child. So, but yeah, ask for a draft copy of the IEP. They'll email it to you. That you can look it over. You can see what's being discussed, what the present levels are. You can add input that can be added to the IEP before the meeting starts. Your concerns will be noted. You can add things to the present levels. You can talk about how they've progressed on the goals at home and in different environments that you see them in. All that's really good stuff, and they actually love that when parents provide the information willingly. It's not now the experts are going to tell me what's best for my kid. You know your kid the best, okay? They have some good advice to give. They know what works for kids with similar abilities as your child, but that may not be the case for your child. You need to make sure, like I had the speech therapist rename one of the goals because that what they had called it was not really what's going on with him. Mm-hmm. And it made it look like his disability was something that it's not. He has preferences for his own things, and they try to label it as a receptive language, and it's not that he's not receiving the language okay, it's that he doesn't want to hear that. And so, we renamed it.
He's so funny. He wants to hear what he wants to hear.
We renamed it. It's not a receptive problem. It's it's a behavior issue. And so, we relabeled a few things, and we changed some things, and we threw out a few goals, and we got rid of some stuff that wasn't necessary because we know our child, and we didn't want those things to hinder his growth.
Yeah, there were a few things I threw in there that they weren't doing. Like they said he was completely potty, no problems. I'm like, that's not true. We've had some major issues with number 2. He needs help with that. And they were like, oh. And they were like, well, they thought maybe he's just not doing that at school and he's doing it at home. Because I'm like, he is not fully potty trained. He does use the toilet, but he needs help. And I do feel like sometimes...
Thanks for not being more graphic, like you were in the meeting.
Whatever. What am I supposed to do? I mean, sometimes I do feel like they don't believe us because Clark does behave differently at home than he does at school. And he's done this in therapy too, and it took a long time for them to believe that he was abusing us until they had come for a couple of years, and then he started abusing them. And same with his preschool class teachers. They didn't see it till the second year of him having him. Then they became part of his inner circle, and he started to abuse them. And so a lot of things that we deal with, people don't see until they become like his bestie. And then he abuses you. So...
What's your that circle of trust?
Yeah, and I was like, well, because they're not seeing some of the behavior problems. I'm like, well, if you have him next year, you probably will see more, because he will come to trust you more and start to bring you into that circle. So
maybe not, since they lost a third of the year or whatever.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, and he is growing up. So, anyways, thought we'd share about our journey so far. Anything else you want to add before we close it out, or nope? Well, thank you for all your support. You guys have been tremendous help to me and our family, and supporting us and rooting for us. And I still remember when I came out live with all of this, with the diagnosis, and how much support I received. And so I'm always trying to provide, stop it. This is moving my chair and it's hurting my back. I'm always trying to provide, positive support for those of you who may be where I was when we first got the diagnosis. And so, love you. Thank you for your support. And if you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me or my husband. He's like, yeah, I know, he's going to say me. And I will pick his brain if it has something to do with what he's good at. All right, see you guys later. Thank you. Bye.